Hey guys, JasonLeeno here. Today's video is, well, a video that you guys basically requested, because if you've been following me along on social media, you'll know recently I asked if you guys wanted to see what I do for recovery, because let's be honest, all I ever do is get injured. Time and time again, I'm always getting injured. That is sadly what I'm becoming known for. Not something to be proud of, I know, but it's the reality. However, despite all those minor injuries and things like that, I'm still always able to get back in the gym. And that is because, believe it or not, I spend a lot of time focusing on my recovery. At home, there's a lot of effort put in behind the scenes to make sure that I'm able to get healthy quicker and become stronger to get back into the gym. And I usually focus a lot of time on muscle manipulation, stretching, specific exercises, eating, sleeping, and even hot baths.
I'm the juggernaut, bitch. You can't stop me. Hulk smash!
But enough of that fun. Let's get into the actual itty-gritty of what I do to focus on recovery. Well, before we do that, let's actually talk about what my current issue is, because let's be honest, all I've ever really said is I had lower back pain, I have a glute medius pain, things like that. And that wasn't the actual situation. I finally come to the conclusion, with a lot of help from smart people, that I have a QL issue, or better known as a Quadratus Lumborum issue. Essentially, there's a muscle between your lower rib cage and your hip that is a major stabilizer. And once it starts becoming tight, can cause pelvic tilt and things like that, which will usually shoot pain everywhere from your hip, your glute, your lower back, sometimes your knee. It is something that you don't want to mess with, and it's something that you should focus on, and apparently a lot of people don't focus on. But now that I've found this area and I started manipulating the specific trigger points, I can definitely tell you that I'm getting to that point of successful recovery. I'm able to actually lift again. Like, I can sit down without being in pain. I can deadlift. I know I said I quit deadlifting, but I can actually deadlift again, which I'm super happy about. I'm not where I want to be, but the fact that I'm actually able to get into a position to pull weight off the floor and stand in front of you guys the next day and make a video without being in excruciating pain, I call that a success. But now that you guys actually know what I've been going through, let's get into the actual routine. Now, this routine is not just specific for this injury. It's always the same principles. I always do some kind of muscle manipulation with foam rolling or flossing with the lacrosse ball. Then we'll go into specific stretches for the injured area, then specific exercises for the injured area. Now, when it comes to this issue, the main areas I've been focusing on for the muscle manipulation for the foam roller have been basically all lower posterior. So you got your glutes, your lower back, your hamstrings, some of your abductors, IT band as well from time to time. But most of my focus at this time has currently been with the lacrosse ball, flossing the glute medius and the small section between your hip and rib cage for the QL. And the reason why I'm using a lacrosse ball compared to a foam roller is because you can't really hit these deep tissue areas with your standard foam roller. And the lacrosse ball, as painful as it is, works really well. Now, usually after doing this for 5 or 10 minutes, I will then go into my stretching. The stretches I've picked are your child's pose. I will alter from left to right to just get a full spectrum of stretching for the lower back, QL, bit of the glute. We'll then transition into a cat-cow, which, if you've never done a cat-cow stretch, as funny as they look, trust me, if you have any kind of back pain, glute pain, I would start off with doing this just because they do work really well and they're really easy to do. Next, I will then go into a butterfly stretch, open up the hips, get the blood going in there. Recently, I have been doing a seated lateral flexion stretch. If I think I said that right. I don't have a video for that just because it has been recent within the last like 72 hours. But it has been very, very helpful. So if you just want to Google that, I guarantee you can find it. Maybe I can find a picture of it. We'll see. But that has been one of the most recent and more helpful stretches that I would probably strongly recommend if you are experiencing a QL issue. Start with this and then go from there, because this will really open up that area. And then one of the last stretches, I can't even really got a name for it, to be honest. I once saw someone doing it at the gym, asked them what it's for. They said, hey, it stretches out your glutes really well. So I've been doing it ever since. We'll call it a standing glute stretch. Yeah, that works for me. That's kind of what I usually do, honestly, almost every day when it comes to stretching. Exercises I don't do every day. It's usually when I'm at the gym, or if I'm not hitting those areas, it's almost every other day. But there is time where we do need some rest, but the stretching is something I will focus on, because opening up those bloodways to get that inflammation out is going to be super, super important when it comes to recovery. But as important stretching is, like I mentioned, the exercises I will always focus on as well. And the specific ones that I've been focusing on are this modified Bulgarian split squat. It's not your standard one, as you can see. I'm holding weight on one side, but the reason why I'm doing that is because it helps activate that side stabilizer, so your glute medius, your QL, and then that way you're able to get those fired up properly and evenly when you do right to left, to give you a better base when it comes to functioning overall. We'll also go into band pull-throughs, and I know typically you don't want to see a guy do a band pull-through, especially one that likes to wear stretchy pants, but it definitely helps strengthen that hip hinge, and that's something that I really need to focus on, just because honestly that's probably what ended up causing the majority of these issues, is not being balanced and really having a grindy, crappy hinge motion when it came to following through with my squats and my deadlifts. Now, one of the more recent exercises that I want to say I started have been the butt crawl. Now, this is by the recommendations of Brad Arbick through a gentleman named Donnie Thompson. This guy, he's unique. He's a big dude that you would not expect to be as mobile and technical as he is, but he is. So I strongly recommend that you look up Donnie Thompson's stuff, because he is a whiz when it comes to personal recovery. At first, when he said, hey, try out these butt crawls, I kind of didn't think much of it. And then I started doing them. And man, do they ever help. They will give all the blood needed into that area. In fact, when I first did them, I was sweating, like physically dripping in sweat, because I've never worked these minute muscles before. So you can't knock it till you try it, guys. That's the moral of the story, because as you can see, a lot of these exercises are very unique looking and very different, and probably a lot of people won't want to do because they're going to be embarrassed. But let's be real. You see what I go to in the gym. I wear a toque, I have a beard, and I like to wear stretchy pants. I don't really think it matters whether I'm pulling 450 off the floor or I'm doing some weird, unique yoga, Pilates movements, because no matter what, people are going to look at me weird. And that is the reality. And that's a good takeaway of the video besides the stretching. Don't worry about what people think. Honestly, just worry about what you need to do to get better. But guys, that's the video. Hopefully you find it helpful. Sorry that I'm getting to it a little later. I am getting ready to go on vacation, so I don't have a lot of time for videos currently. I'll eventually get back in the swing of things. You know the drill, right, guys? But like I said, that's the video. So do me a favor, go down below, drop me some comments, because I'd love to hear what you have to say. I would love to hear if you found this helpful, if you want to see other videos or things like that. Also hit that like, share, and subscribe to spread that love. Follow me on social media, because that's the best way to get in touch with me. And yeah, I'll see you next time.